Every long journey starts the same way. One step. Whether you are training for an ultra marathon or preparing for retirement, the finish line does not happen by accident. It takes discipline, patience, guidance, and the willingness to keep going when the road gets hard. I'm Michael Goodwin, and this is The Long Run, Lessons in Life, Wealth, and Retirement. This was the run where I first thought there may be a whole series here about the similarities between ultramarathons and financial planning. I was training for a 100-mile race, and this was my longest training run.
The plan was to run 62.5 miles on a Saturday in the same woods, where the actual race would be held. And honestly, I was feeling pretty good.
I had been running for almost 11 hours. I had covered about 59 miles. I was tired, of course, but I was moving well and getting close to the finish. And then, all of a sudden, in the middle of the dense forest, my headlamp went out. Not dim, not flickering, out. It was starting to get chilly. It was completely dark. I could not see my hand in front of my face. And I had not prepared for this. No backup headlamp, no extra batteries, no cell phone, nothing. I have to admit, my first impulse was panic. Was I going to have to spend the night out there? Was I going to wander off the trail? Was I going to get hurt? For a few moments, my mind went to all the worst places. But after that first wave of panic wore off, I forced myself to calm down and think. I had about 3 miles left. But I also knew that about 1.5 miles ahead, there was a wider section of trail, lined by trees, where the moonlight could get through. If I could just make it there, I believed I could run the rest of the way back by the light of the moon. So I started trying to move forward, slowly, carefully. At times, I was walking almost by sound. If I heard leaves cracking under my feet, I knew I had drifted off the trail. Then I had the idea to try my headlamp again, and it came on. I did not waste a second. I ran. And I ran like those were the fastest miles of my life. Then, just like that, the light went out again. So I stopped. I stumbled forward. I tried to stay calm. Then I hit the button again. The light came back on. And again, I ran as fast as I could while I had the light. Out, on, out, on. I must have done that 4 or 5 times before I finally made it to that clearing. And from there, I was able to run the rest of the way back to my car by the moonlight. I will never forget that night, because on that trail, I learned something that applies to a lot more than running.
When something unexpected happens, our first reaction is often panic. And that is human.
It happens in life, it happens in business, and it definitely happens in retirement planning. The market drops, a job changes, a health issue shows up, a loved one needs help, an expense comes out of nowhere. The plan that felt clear a moment ago suddenly feels dark. And when that happens, it is easy for fear to take over. It is easy to think, what do I do now? But most of the time, panic is not the plan. Panic is just the first reaction. The plan comes after we calm down. Take a breath, look around, figure out what we know, find the next step. That night, I did not need to solve the whole 62.5 miles all over again. I needed to solve the next 1.5 miles. And sometimes financial planning works the same way. You may not be able to fix everything in one moment, but you can pause, you can assess, you can lean on the plan, you can get help, and you can take the next right step. Because sometimes the light goes out, sometimes the path gets dark, sometimes the thing you did not prepare for shows up at the worst possible time. But that does not mean the journey is over. It means you slow down, calm down, and find your way forward, one step at a time. And sometimes, just when you need it, a little light comes back on. Thanks for watching, and be sure to tune in next week for Session 6. They see the finish line, not the training.